Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, senior Lakers insider and lead Lakers content creator for Offside, joined on this fine Tuesday afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, my time, late afternoon, definitely Harrison's time, by Harrison Fagan. Harrison, if you had an agent and your agent...
What do you mean I have an agent?
You do?
Yeah. To me.
Oh,
well, I give myself.
Let's say you had let's say you had an agent who operated separate from, like, is not you, right? Let's say you paid an agent, and that agent hopped on a podcast and created controversy for the basketball team that you're playing for. Would you be all that thrilled with the job your agent is doing?
Well, it depends on whether or not that is a narrative that I want out there. And I would assume that a good agent is probably not going to go and talk about things that would make their client uncomfortable. Although, you know, I guess, like, if you had a lot of clients, maybe you weren't, like, necessarily thinking of all of them as you made every single comment.
Today on the show, we're going to be talking about Rich Paul's new podcast with Max Kellerman and a couple of the comments therein. I already see... I see your comment here, Mon.
First comment, perfect. Honestly,
here goes
that's
the
title of the show.
Bullshit.
Here goes the clickbait bullshit. That's the title of today's Lakers Lounge.
Maybe that's what
Well, guess what, Mon? I don't know what the last part of your name is. You clicked.
Yeah, Monzui. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about this podcast. And a couple of the comments therein. One, I think he kind of sort of implied that Austin should go to the bench, which, all right. Sure. And then second, he said, like, the two comments that really are inflaming Twitter on a day off, which Lakers Twitter on a day off is already kind of a touchy place, a sensitive spot. But then you throw this.
It's like it's a dry field.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to take much for a flame to spark it, you know.
Yeah. I remember every so often, like, I would just ask a question. I've stopped doing this. Like, I don't really spend as much time on Twitter, but earlier on in my career, I would ask a question, and then I would, like, see that question would be on, you know, 2 or 3 of the podcasts out there, and I'm like, man, we really don't have shit to talk about on Wednesdays. Like, you know, whatever it is. Today, though, you know, the Rich Paul implied seemingly that Austin should come off of the bench. And then he asked if, or he said that the Lakers are not contenders as they are currently built, in large part because of the lack of athleticism and all of that stuff. And we're going to talk about all that. So I actually don't think he's wrong about the Lakers not being contenders. The Oklahoma City Thunder exist. Like, they're beating teams. It doesn't matter whether Shea plays or not. It's just that, you know, and so, like, they're kind of scary. So, in some ways, I think some of what he said is true. In other ways, I kind of wonder where it came from. So we're going to talk about that and the current run that the Lakers find themselves on, and anything else that comes up. So if you guys have any questions, we'll get to them towards the back half of the show. A quick reminder: please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button if you guys are new here. Also hit that share button. Those buttons help as well. If you guys are listening to this podcast in the morning via podcast, hit subscribe wherever it is that you get your podcast, preferably on Odyssey, but honestly, I don't care. They all count. And then let's see. Oh, if you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to youtube.com/@LakersLounge to find the show on YouTube. All right, Harrison, this is honestly where I wanted to start the conversation. And it's like, the implication is that LeBron signs off on some of these things. I don't really think that's how Rich Paul works, though. Like, I don't.
He is, in my experience, a very candid person.
Yeah, like, he just, I've only bumped into him a couple of times, had like very, very brief conversations and stuff. Like, it's not, he is very off the cuff. It makes for an interesting way to cover LeBron. It leads to a different relationship between reporter and agent, or reporter and superstar in some cases. And so I don't know that I would take that next step of thinking that LeBron okayed or thinks any of the things that
No, I mean, to be clear, I don't think LeBron, Rich was like, hey, here's my talking points for today's podcast, Bron. Just let me know if you have any disputes. But I
yeah,
just think that he's been doing this long enough. He knows his clients. I don't think that he's going to say anything that they're going to be upset about him saying
or that he didn't
publicly.
hear somewhere else.
Yeah.
It might be, Harrison, that LeBron also shares concern over the athleticism in the starting five, which, by the way, don't you?
Yeah.
It's been funny to see everybody freaking out. How dare you? How could he possibly say that? Now, I disagree about his
it's also
solution, but
okay. I mean, first of all, we got to back up. The podcast is called Game Over. It's with the Ringer. I was so disappointed to find out that this podcast exists and it is not called the Rich Paulcast. Podcast.
I feel like Max Kellerman wouldn't okay wouldn't be okay with being on a podcast that had somebody else's name on it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
but there were just there's so many better puns available. Rich, call me. I'm happy to help if you guys decide to rebrand. But I
better call Paul.
See, right, that's there. Perfect. I was just gonna say that, I just think that this is, it's more proof of the reality that deep down, every single man that you have ever met, that you will ever meet, has a podcast mic in their room talking to them like the Green Goblin mask. And it's like, put your thoughts into me, coward.
Dude, that's not just a man thing. I've been in most of my family knows what I do for a living. At this point in my immediate family, obviously, but
yeah, I was gonna say I would
extended
assume
family,
probably. Yeah.
I'm Mexican, so I have a very large extended family on my mom's side. And I would say 85 to 90% of them know what I do for a living, or that I am in, they always I saw my Theo over the weekend and he was like, son, you still working for the Lakers? Nope, never did. But
yeah, I get that one a lot.
Cover the Lakers, but yeah. And I have been asked by probably a solid handful of cousins, of uncles, of tias, of friends of cousins who were also kind of sort of family as well. How did you get this podcast thing going? Can you help me get mine off the ground? So I think everybody wants to have a podcast. I just, until you have one and you realize how much work actually goes into it. And in this
the hardest
case,
job in the world. That's what I always tell people.
I mean, it's brain surgery. It's those people that climb those really high light posts. Have you seen those things?
Then podcasters, then firefighters,
right there,
right below us.
Yeah. But yeah, I think everybody deep down would like to be able to talk into a microphone and be told that what they say matters. That's a pretty foundational belief, no?
I mean, we really, honestly, the jig with this was up when LeBron launched a podcast. It's there's no reason LeBron needs a podcast for it. He does not need, there's no way he's making that much money off of it. Comparatively to how much he makes for other ventures,
Yeah. Yeah, probably not.
Considering the time spent.
Does he do live reads? I've never listened to LeBron's podcast, start to finish.
No, I sort of had a policy that I don't listen to JJ Redick podcasts. And then now he's coach of the Lakers. So, and then I just sort of, I have not heard good things about the new pairing, so I haven't checked it out.
Yeah, but I just want, like, now I really want to know if LeBron does live reads. Hey, hit me up in the chat. Let me know if LeBron does live reads on his like, does he do like a MeUndies read? Like, is it like a
When I want to feel like a gourmet chef at home, I check out Blue. I'm not gonna. I actually no free ads.
Yeah, I think though that, like, with the thing that I keep thinking about though, and again, basketball takes aside, we could talk
Yeah, yeah.
about, whether we disagree or agree with Rich Paul's basketball takes or whatever. But I don't know if I was a player, I would want my agent to have a podcast.
See, I actually disagree with you here because
Okay.
I think that this is just the natural next evolution point of, how many times have we seen the
I just realized
agents
I've had "here goes the
to
clickbait bullshit" up on the screen this whole time. My bad, everybody.
we're still going with our clickbait bullshit. I think, that this is the natural next evolution of sort of the narrative creation industrial complex, where like it used to be that you
Oh,
just have like agents like talking to writers, and like it would sort of like inform their speculation, and then like unnamed sources became like a really big thing, and it's like, oh, you got to
yeah.
have like the a team source told me X, Y, or Z, and then it like eventually that evolved to like, okay, like a league source, what does that mean? I don't know, but like a league source told me, so now you have to treat this with importance.
Mhm.
And then it was like an anonymous assistant coach I met one time at a Hooters, like told me that like Luka's a loser. And then like eventually it turned into like, now it's like Shams Charania tweets out, it's like, Jared Vanderbilt, strong, handsome, and powerful agent, has secured the greatest extension in mankind. So and so, like 7 people from Priority Sports told ESPN. Like, I assume they were all in the group chat and they all messaged. And then it's like, if I'm a player and I'm reading that Shams tweet, it's like, wow, it sounds like they did a great job negotiating. Like, I really want them on my side. And then, we see this during the trade sagas where agents are pushing sort of their chosen narratives through the media of, or even back and forth of things like last year with the Luka deal, where it's like, you have Luka's people leaking about like how much of a betrayal this is and a blind side. And then Nico's people just being like, yeah, but he's fat. Like, and then, but like no one's putting any names to that, obviously. But there's always been an effort for agents to try and control the narrative. And this is like sort of just the next natural step of that, is like just going on and starting the narrative yourself versus like having to launder it through Shams or, reporter X.
Yeah, I guess, like, it's kinda like the whole, and I do heavy air quotes here, documentary thing, like the athlete
Yeah.
documentary thing, which
Those are what
none of
should be
them are
called
very good.
mockumentaries. Like parody documentaries should get a better name.
Yeah, well, I saw it was funny the other day when people were reacting to Starting Five getting canceled. It's like, it sucked. It wasn't
I didn't
good.
watch.
It's not good. Like, the thing about,
The
like,
only person who can be interesting in a self-made documentary is Michael Jordan, because he's psychotic enough to put out the stuff that like most people would be like, actually, cut that on the final edit when I said I hope Isaiah Thomas dies.
yeah, well, like, but like even the Michael Jordan one, I don't know, because I think that was as popular as it was, not necessarily because it was a great documentary, but I thought it was really popular because we didn't have sports.
Well, that was certainly part of it, but I just mean that was like the rare exception of the self-finance documentary where I was
Yeah.
like, this is still pretty good, like
Yeah, it was like, it was
most
entertaining
of
if
the
it
time I
like
watch
for
those and it's like, that was a tough time for our family, but we persevered and everything was great in the end and we all got along.
yeah, well, like, that's the thing, is that, like, all of these documentaries are so thoroughly scrubbed, and they're all so, like, there's a point to all of them. There's a narrative that all of these like, actually, what I was really looking forward to is if the because the athlete documentary cycle has really slowed down. I don't know if you've noticed that. They aren't making them anymore because nobody watched them. Nobody wants a
Yeah.
3-hour commercial about Derek Jeter. But like like but like the thing that I was really hoping for, if that trend continued, was at what point do we have like the A-Rod doc run up against the facts given in a Derek Jeter doc, and then you would have like these documentaries kind of sideswiping each other because those two guys want different versions of the story told, right?
I feel like there were like 7 different Chicago Bulls that came out with their own documentary in response to The Last Dance. So that did sort of happen.
A little bit, except it's not quite the same, right? Because A-Rod and Jeter were kind of peers, right? Like Michael didn't have a peer.
Yeah.
So like it would have been interesting to see like if Steph would have made his documentary and then LeBron made his documentary about that rivalry between the Warriors and the Cavs and everything that was going on during that time. Like that would have been something that would have been a really interesting way to look back at how those guys viewed that stuff. But at
Steph's
the end of the
documentary
day,
just doesn't even mention the 3-1 in the finals. It's just like, well, we set the all-time wins record that year, and then
the season
came
ended
up short in the playoffs, and so
Yeah.
we knew we had to come back and reload with KD for the next year.
But like this is the thing, and I'm sorry to every player who has a podcast right now. Like you and I've talked about this off of the. I just think
no, hold on. If your podcast is with Vox Media, I think it's great.
Obviously. But like if I just think like this whole athlete documentary thing is a bit of a bubble in that a lot of these guys like I don't want to name anybody in particular.
You probably don't, considering your position.
Yeah. I'm not going to name anybody in particular, but a lot of these athlete documentaries, for one thing, these guys don't necessarily have anything all that interesting to say, or if they do, like what makes Gilbert Arenas' podcast entertaining is you have no idea at any moment what he's going to say, right?
Yeah.
Like him and all of those guys. Like the reason that show has grown the way that it has is because there are no punches pulled ever.
Yeah.
Sometimes to their detriment. Sometimes they fly off the handle and they say
sometimes they will almost fight each
said.
other. That's basically the only time that I see clips of that is like Kenyon Martin's like threatening to kill Nick Young.
Go for it, Kenyon. And so like, but like a lot of these player documentary or these player podcasts, you have these these marketing campaigns that are built around, ooh, this is an opportunity for us to sponsor a former Laker. And then they look at like the numbers on those podcasts and it's like, oh wait, actually that's like way less audience than I thought you guys, and
like, so how many cars did we sell for that $500,000 ad read?
Right.
I bet it's like at least like 50.
So I kind of feel like I think maybe we'll see. They presented the Kellerman and Rich Paul podcast really weird. Like it's super serious. It almost looks like inside the actor studio.
The set was bizarre. Like
right? Like it looked like AI.
That was the thing that stood out for me from the clips that I did watch was the set was like, like it looked like it was like, I don't know, like 60 minutes sit down or something.
Like it looked. No, remember the inside the actor studio where you had like the
Frost Nixon, but with Max Kellerman and Rich Paul.
They're talking about LeBron James, Luka Doncic pick and rolls.
Yeah,
like a world map behind them, like an atlas. But anyway,
I own an atlas.
It's like Draymond holding up the atlas, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was I just think this whole player podcast thing and now apparently player agent podcast thing, like it just feels like this bubble that we're kind of running into, and
more than an agent
if I were
also would have been a good podcast name, more than an agent.
Oh, I was going to say like free agent, but yeah, that's fine
too.
Let
us come up with,
agent
let
free.
Us come up with this stuff. We could have done better than Game Over.
It is like it would be funny. I like whenever the podcast ends. Do you think they'll go to like a second season of this? I don't necessarily think they will. But
my guess, honestly, again, like I don't really know who this podcast is for.
That's the thing. It's like who's what?
Yeah,
but I will give their producers credit. They know how to.
Yeah, look, they know how to get people talking, and they got people talking. So maybe again, who are we to judge?
Yeah.
with our niche Lakers podcast.
I guess we could talk about the actual basketball aspect of all of this, but are the
No.
Lakers contenders? No. I don't know. Like, they're on one hand, you say they're the second seed in the West. They have expiring money that they can use. They have a couple of picks that they can use. They have
Is
a
LeBron
couple
part
of
of the expiring money?
yeah, like, but that's the thing though, is that like if I go from they're the second seed in the West and then immediately start talking about the assets that they have that they could make themselves better, that means they aren't contenders right now. Right? Like if I say
Yeah,
if
nobody's
like
talking about moves the Thunder could make at the deadline.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And same goes for Denver, frankly. Right? Like what's
Yeah.
Denver's big move is going to be getting Aaron Gordon back and getting Christian Brown back. The Lakers do actually have to make some like roster tweaks here. Now, I
Again,
disagree
unless, as
wholeheartedly
I
with
pitched to Dan and Jovan last week, like, LeBron getting his man lungs is the real trade deadline edition.
he looked fine in Philly,
Yeah.
Turns out that was a solid addition then. But
Yeah, well, he was going up against like Raptors Hakeem Olajuwon, so I think that probably helped a little bit.
Poor Embiid. And Paul George for that matter. I laughed out loud at Pete
Apparently,
saying
PG has been good this season, like overall, since he came back, and that was like an aberration.
what was an aberration.
The game against the Lakers, like he's overall, from what I've heard, been pretty good for the Sixers since he came back. I mean, they were like wing starved, so anyone is going to look better than like the like G League guys they were playing. But apparently, he's like mostly been solid this season. But I do think that it's like kind of funny that LeBron has been playing so long that in his prime he ripped out young Paul George's heart out, and they're like, oh, that's like Paul George's like you get beat up by the Pistons moment, he'll get over the hump down the line, and then it's like no, like LeBron's still ripping wash Paul George's heart out. Like he's still there, like he just never retired. It's like if the bad boys just never stopped, they just like kept playing the rest of Jordan's career.
Is Paul George still doing the pod? Speaking of
I believe this is that he has not released an episode since the Pablo Torre aspiration stuff. You got to fact check me on that, but I feel like that is true.
I wonder, was there a connection there? Paul? Oh, duh. He played on. What an idiot. What a dumb question by me.
Yeah.
That Clippers team was so forgettable.
They told him,
Paul George was so forgettable as a Clipper that I literally forgot.
Paul, the Fifth Amendment does not apply to podcasts.
Oh man, I can't believe I just completely forgot that Paul George was on the Clippers. That was wild.
I mean, it really sums up the Paul George Clippers era.
It 1,000,000% does. I forgot he was on the Sixers until I saw him playing in the second quarter of that game.
Oh, hey, that's Paul George. Yeah, it looks like they have not released an episode in 2 months.
That sounds about right, as far as the aspirations thing. But yeah, the Lakers as a contender, I don't know. Like I do think that there are real concerns. Like I disagree really strongly with Rich Paul saying that Austin is the guy that needs to go to the bench there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was talking with somebody about this today, and it's like, there's one of the big three that is probably a little closer to coming off the bench.
I probably wouldn't bring any of the big three off of the bench personally.
I mean, probably not, but I'm just saying, like, two of them are going to make the All-Star team for sure. One of them has had one good game since he came back.
Yeah. I am exiting podcast stage left.
I'm not arguing for it. I'm not arguing for it. I'm just saying that you could make arguably a more compelling case about someone other than Austin.
The thing with like the should Austin come off of the bench thing, because I've seen it a lot, right? Like there's people in the chat right now who are agreeing strongly with Rich Paul's stance here.
I saw someone call him Austin Reaves, which is honestly like pretty good hater name. I can't lie. Like that's
such disrespect to Sean Astin. But the the thing with like, all right, Austin, all right, bring Austin off of the bench. Okay. All right, let's do that. Okay. And you're going to bring who? Who's
Yeah,
starting
who
in
are you
Austin's place?
starting over Austin?
Yeah. Like, there isn't.
It's the same thing that honestly, it's the reason Darvin Ham lost the locker room. It's because if you make a decision that is so obviously bad, like starting Cam Reddish over Austin Reaves from a basketball perspective, like there's just like no argument for it from a talent perspective. That's how you very quickly lose a locker room. And again, like I don't, I mean, obviously we're talking about this because it came up on that pod, and like JJ is not going to do this, and I'm sure he's not even actually considering it, considering he's like probably the biggest Austin Reaves fan in the world.
Yeah.
You know, but
Well, like, so the reason that
like you're starting Marcus Smart over Austin, and then what happens when Marcus Smart gets hurt and misses five more games? You know, like
like the other problem with starting Marcus Smart instead of Austin is that like your Smart isn't the engine that Austin is,
yeah.
right? So
I
like,
mean, again, if we're talking Marcus Smart like 5 years ago, you can make like a case for that
yeah,
maybe. Again, like it not
when he was
this year
defensive
with
player
how
of the
good
year,
Austin
like
has
I'd
been.
be
I
like,
don't think that you
okay,
can make that compelling of a case, but like you could say like, okay, player archetype, you know, fit, whatever. Like you could make a more convincing case than now, but it's like what you're gonna bench him for Vando,
yeah. Well, and so
Gabe.
the obvious answer has always been staring at us, right?
Yeah.
It's bringing Rui off of the bench, right?
Do you
And
think JJ's trying to have him guard the other opposing like toughest opposing perimeter assignment so that Rui has to come off the bench?
it would be funny. I mean,
He's like,
did you
JJ, I'm
hear
so
my?
tired of these screens, man. Please, I'm so tired at the end of my shifts.
Well, it's also like, hey, Rui, go stand in the corner and just wait for a
Yeah,
little while, and maybe you'll get the ball. And meanwhile, Rui's like, dude, I'm shooting 46% on threes.
yeah.
Can I just
I know,
um
I know. It's in a sorry, but the aside, D'Lo, long recurring character on this podcast. Did you see what he did in the corner this weekend when he was
no.
open? And I think it was Hardy on the Mavs didn't pass to him. Um,
Did
he
he
just
pantomime
pretended to take a
shooting?
shot before going
Of
back
course.
on defense. It was incredible. Like, look it up. It's so good. I love D'Lo.
Hey, speaking about a player podcast, it probably is. It doesn't have very much lasting power.
I would imagine not. Yeah, I don't think the backyard where D'Lo eats cheese while like discussing things from 3 weeks ago.
That's the thing. All right, I'm sorry. The player podcast thing like annoys me to a certain extent because these guys have more money than God, and like if you're gonna make a really good podcast, it takes like actual work. Not even saying that this is a really good podcast. I just know how much work it takes to
Yeah,
make even a
I'll
mediocre
have you
podcast.
guys know. Anthony texts me at least 5 minutes before every show asking, "What do you want to talk about today?"
Production meeting on
That's a
imply.
lot of prep work.
But like it takes it, but it takes being up to date on stuff. It takes legitimately thinking about stuff at all times. It takes before and after work. It takes like a real budget on stuff if you want to make it look cool. Which good luck. That takes work and
You want to
energy
buy
as
the inside
well.
the actor studio set? Got to rent that out.
but like the thing with these these player podcasts is that like all of these guys have made so much money in their lives that once they start it and they realize, oh dang, there really isn't that much money in this, they all lose interest and they all get significantly worse after their third episode. Like what makes Jeff Teague such a really intriguing talent is because he's such a great storyteller at this time where TikTok is this, big thing and YouTube reels and or Instagram reels and YouTube shorts that Jeff T can like tell a story and that'll keep his podcast afloat. But like a lot of these guys aren't talented as storytellers like that. And like
And so I will say some of these guys grind. Like, this is definitely not a generality of like all of them, but there is like a
yeah,
common theme of like most of the bad ones are just guys that like they wanted to do it because they thought it would be easy. And then they realized, like, again, it's like I was talking about with LeBron. LeBron's obviously stuck with it, but like per capita, like amount, like per hour amount of time that he puts in versus how much he's making out, like it's got to be the lowest earner in his portfolio,
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, as far as like, this like starting five thing and Rui or Austin or whoever coming off of the bench, like this is where, and by the way, Rich Paul also in that episode said that his like if Giannis were to get traded from Milwaukee to Atlanta, that Atlanta should ask for Jalen Johnson. Do you know who reps Jalen Johnson?
Wait, that Atlanta should ask for it? You mean that Milwaukee should
That
ask for
Milwaukee
Jalen?
should ask for Jalen Johnson in return.
I don't know. Was it Rich Paul?
Like that's so weird. You just throw your client in the middle of a superstar trade rumor. Like that's I just can't fathom that like a player would want their agent doing this, and like that's just crazy to me.
But again, people have been saying that about Rich Paul for a long time, and he continues to get his clients the deals that they want in general, like more often than not. And so I don't know, like,
But
this
does it
could
like
be something where, again, like, does he want to start the narrative? Like, when you talk about this, does this start the narrative and get people like us talking about, are the Lakers like, is he accomplishing exactly what he set out to do by you having a segment on like, well, is he out of pocket but kind of right? And it's like, yeah, like, the Lakers aren't contenders yet and they do need to make a move and and then it's like, okay, well, did he just accomplish exactly what he wanted? And then you're basically repeating his statement from the summer when he was like, LeBron's reevaluating his options unless, like, because the Lakers don't seem like they want to win right now. And it's like, now you're saying you're criticizing him, but you're also being like, well, he's got some points.
Well, but like who, honest to God question, we can go through all of the podcasts out there that cover the Lakers and all of like the main accounts on Twitter that cover the Lakers. If we were to like run a poll of people who pay very close attention to the Lakers and ask how many of those people think that the Lakers are legitimate title contenders right now.
Are their votes public? Because that might change the answer.
There. But like, I still don't like, I once the first person says no, we'll say it's me. I don't think the Lakers are contenders right now, right?
I think
Does Rich Paul saying
again,
not
to play
whether or not I
say
say that?
Like, the Lakers are contenders in the sense that they have like a puncher's chance, but they would need a lot of breaks. They're contenders in like the loosest sense of the word. Not with like a capital C, but with a like
when the top of the conference is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and
everybody said the same thing about the KD Warriors, and then they take injuries at the wrong time, and Kawhi's a champion in Toronto.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, like, I wouldn't plan on that for.
I'm not saying plan on it. I'm just saying they are definitionally like contenders for the title. They aren't favorites. They aren't, like probably even in like what, like the upper four. Like, because you'd probably have to take most teams out of the East because they have like the easiest path to get there. But like they are contenders in the sense of like if something goes wrong for their opponents or they catch the right matchups or like
or they trade for the right guy
hot at the right time, like
yeah. Well, and that's where it's going to be.
A lot of people wouldn't have said the Raptors were contenders going into that playoffs with Kawhi.
One thing that I was kind of thinking about here, in response to Rich Paul making this point about Austin coming off of the bench specifically, is if there was a player that the Lakers could put on the table to give themselves a like even somewhat viable chance at getting Giannis for his top client, right, in LeBron, isn't it trading Reaves?
Well,
that's their only path to trading for that's the only path to trading for Giannis this season is putting Reaves on the table. That's it. And so like if we really wanted to
are we sure LeBron
tea leaves, this is purely speculation.
Are we sure LeBron would want Giannis at midseason?
Do we think that LeBron would want Giannis? Yes.
Like, yeah. I don't know that that's that good of a fit at this point.
It isn't a good fit.
Yeah. Like, that's
I don't think it's a very good fit at all. Guy. Unless you're running like unless you're running like horn sets with Luka up top and LeBron and Giannis on each side, and Giannis is playing primarily the five.
I don't think Giannis really messing up DeAndre Ayton spacing Anthony. Only one of them has been dominating this year.
Did you see that stat that like Ayton is the only starter in Lakers history to go 7 of 7 from the field? Here it is. This is Dave McMenamin. DeAndre Ayton, after becoming the first Lakers starter ever to have a double-double while not missing a shot and having 0 turnovers. That
I'm telling
seems
you, he's like,
crazy.
I'm not saying he goes on the Lakers' big Mount Rushmore, but like maybe you make a statue like in the exhibit. Like it's like not on the mountain, but like there's a statue of him, like, on the path to go look at
There's like
the
a
faces.
hologram. Like
Yeah.
there's like a machine you can look at, and there's a rotating cast of characters who would be the fifth Mount Rushmore
There's a
Lakers
DeAndre
starter.
Ayton plaque, on it's like also remembering.
Yeah. Honorable mention on the side of the
Yeah.
mountain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's just DeAndre sitting there with a chisel, like
It really
putting
is
his name.
crazy that we just have like the faces of like four presidents like chiseled into a mountain. And we're like, at some point, the government was like, yeah, this is a good use of our money.
Yeah. Well, just wait till the current president has four faces on the side of that mountain. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at like if we really wanted it to, to get super meta and really read into what was trying to be accomplished here, we could go there. I more so think that based off of whatever few interactions I've had and based off of how I've seen Rich Paul conduct business in the past, I think this is just him giving basketball takes. And I don't think it's
Yeah.
worth by the way, it's also funny, right? That like this is all happening at a time where on the same day that all of this is going on, that like everybody is talking about whether or not Rich Paul wants Austin in or out of the starting lineup. LeBron on his podcast spoke specifically about Austin and how much he respects Austin, the player and the professional and the teammate and all of these things. And yet, because of the way media works, we're sitting here trying to parse what LeBron might mean by way of Rich Paul podcast, when on LeBron's podcast, he is telling you how he feels about this guy. And he has
Well,
told
and
you
it's just,
for
you look at
years, plural.
you also look at the you don't have to take his words for it. Like you can take his actions for it. And like
Yeah.
the amount that he defers to Austin and clearly
Yeah.
trusts Austin at the end of games, like that speaks loud. Like anyone can say something nice about a teammate on a podcast or whatever. Like that's less meaningful to me than just like LeBron's actions over the last several years and how he has raised up Austin and like really like trusted him.
Yeah.
In a way that, he did not with D'Lo, he did not with Dennis Schroeder, like he did not with like, you can go, he did not with Russell Westbrook, like you can go down and down the line of guys that LeBron was not deferring to at the end of games and having run two-man action with him as the screener, and LeBron, like he trusts Austin. And I again, like, I don't think that this is a case where like LeBron's giving Rich Paul talking points of narratives to start or whatever. My only point was like, I don't think that Rich Paul would say anything at this point that he thinks that LeBron would be uncomfortable with him saying publicly. Because at the end of the day, it's like any other situation where, like it's like the LeVar Ball thing where it's like, Lonzo's teammates could be like, why did your dad say that like I suck and like you should be starting at all five positions instead of me? And Lonzo's like, yeah, like I don't know, he's just kind of a character. That's my dad. Like LeBron could just be like, yeah, that's Rich. Like that's my guy. Like, but I don't agree with every single thing he says. Do you agree with every single thing that your agent and or best friend says?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Like, by the way, I don't have an agent. I've thought about getting an agent.
Do you have an agent,
like,
agent / best friend? Because that's where the real like
somebody 15% of my income. Like they would have to really raise a ton of income for me to be interested in paying somebody 15% of my current income.
Yeah.
But yeah, I and they for damn sure better not have a podcast. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's the point to make there, Harrison. And maybe that's the point to end on before we throw to the quick Q&A here, is that like LeBron has told you by way of the way he plays with Austin, how he feels about Austin. LeBron literally like sacrificed his 10-point scoring streak, the double-digit scoring streak, because he wanted to set a shit ton of screens for Austin and at the end of that Toronto Raptors game. And it was working to the extent that Toronto decided we need to send a double. And the guy that we're going to double Austin with is the guy who was guarding LeBron James. And that led to a wide open 3-pointer that, again, was made because LeBron entrusted a teammate at the end of that game. So like how he feels like, look, I will say this. There was some, I don't know if we want to call it animosity. I wouldn't go so far as to call it ill will, but there was certainly some hurt feelings over the summer based on how the negotiations between the Lakers and LeBron and by extension Clutch went, right? Like they
Why? What gave you that idea? Was it the statement from Rich Paul to Shams on the record that his client would be evaluating all his options for
yeah.
his continue where he ends his career?
And
Like,
it wouldn't surprise me, Harrison, if Rich Paul would kind of like the idea of irking Rob Pelinka while things are going kind of well for Rob Pelinka coming off of the, like, that wouldn't surprise me because those
honestly, I get it.
conversations
Seems like a fun guy to troll. I've done it a lot.
super easy.
Yeah.
He wears multiple zippers on the same jacket. When you make it that easy, I'm going to troll. So like, yeah, I there could be any number of things going on. And I know that like I don't expect this to unravel the chemistry that the Lakers have built to this point even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Because I think, well, for one thing, Austin's really comfortable in his own skin. So I think he could give a rat's piss what like Rich Paul says about him on a podcast.
Also, again, like if you're gonna sort of, I mean, he didn't directly say Austin should come off the bench. He compared him to Manu Ginobili, who did make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So,
He's like the
it's like,
greatest six man of all time.
yeah, like it's not like he was
Which
like, I see Austin as like, sort of like a, like Jordan Clarkson type.
the funny thing, Harrison, the really, really funny thing of all of this, Austin's camp has been calling him Mini Manu forever.
Hillbilly Manu? What's the
No, I made the comparison last year in a podcast and like spoke to some people that are close to Austin and they were like, yeah, we've been making that comp for years, you know? And like, does that mean that they want him to come off of the bench? Probably not. But like the play,
I'm
like
going to go ahead and Anthony, I'm going to, without having talked to them, exclusively report no that Austin Reeves' camp does not want him to come off
think
the
that's
bench in a
probably
contract
safe.
year where he's like about to make the All-Star team and make like upwards of $40 million this summer. I'm going to go ahead and like, I'm going to stretch my neck out really as far as it goes and just say no, they probably do not want him coming off the bench.
Yeah, but like that was the other like I don't know. I have found a lot of this and the reaction to it very funny today. And the funniest part about it was the fact that they compared him to Manu Ginobili, somebody that that camp, that group of people that surrounds Austin have been making that comparison for years.
Also, that in any other context, if you compared him to Manu, people would be like, hell yeah, Austin is shifty,
For sure.
It's just,
There's a reason I made the comp last year.
yeah.
It's right there. It's like it's this like off
It
rhythm
breaks
dude.
the Daryl Morey rule though of like same race comps though. It's like too easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least in this case, it's right left-handed.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not that easy and obvious. But yeah, and I don't know.
Austin,
Like
much better hair.
and by the way,
too.
I see all of the comments in the chat here about like, oh, he chokes in the playoffs, white guys don't do this in the playoffs and can't defend and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, all right, here's my thing. And I said this the other day, and I'm gonna keep on repeating it. If that's how you fan, is fandom fun?
I also hate the Austin chokes in the playoffs thing because I think it's bad faith. Like, I mean, obviously it is, but look, Austin in his second year was in the Western Conference Finals and was a huge part of making that run. Austin, and then the next year, the Lakers got obliterated by a Denver team that had obliterated them the year before, so that's not even that surprising. And then last year, Austin, I don't know how hurt he was. I'm not a doctor. I haven't looked at his medical records, but it's like nobody on the team played well in that first round except for maybe LeBron.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like Rui for stretches. Like Luka obviously was like impressive by like, he had just been puking his guts out standards, but he was not impressive by Luka standards.
He said it.
And
He
it's like
said that he wasn't.
if Luka's bad, then the downstream effects of that are like, Austin's going to be getting more attention and not be as good, especially if he is hurt. Like LeBron was being asked to do too much at this stage of his career. It's like, like Austin didn't choke in the playoffs. The Lakers lost to a team they were a bad matchup for when Luka didn't play that well.
Yeah, I mean, also, by the way, Austin is also like, this is another thing that I reported coming into the year, that Austin was very aware of the athletic deficiencies that he had, and specifically the strength deficiencies that he had
I was going
in
to say
that
the strength
series.
one seemed like something he could maybe do a little bit more about.
Yeah, and he look, I told you guys coming into the season that he put a lot of work in on his body, and wouldn't you know it, this year he's actually knocking defenders backwards. So like, and it goes back to this, Harrison. Austin is playing at an all NBA level for the team that you supposedly root for, right? If you're in my chat right now, if you're watching the Lakers Lounge, a Lakers podcast, chances are you're probably a Lakers fan. And your team is off to a really good start in large part because of the
They got
steps forward.
directed here on like a you might also like this after the viewing the Rich Paul cast for the second time today.
That would be funny. After I shit all over the Rich Paul
Yeah.
podcast. But like,
I'm
but
only calling it that now. I'm sorry. It's the Rich Paul cast to me. I'll see you in court.
Max Kellerman might sue you. Um, but so like like my thing is, you're if you're here, you're probably a Laker fan. Your team is off to a really good start. It's the second seed in the West. Nobody saw that coming. And you are here. Your team is having the season that it is having, in pretty sizable part because of the steps forward that Austin Reaves has taken. And yet, just so that you're right in these conversations online with people you will probably never meet, you are holding on to this fallacy that Austin chokes in the playoffs. And you are now, therefore, waiting for Austin to once again choke in the playoffs,
which is its own sort of bad faith narrative attempt device, because, you know, every year I'm going to tell you 29 teams finish choke in the playoffs and come up short of where
right.
they're supposed to go.
Also, sometimes teams lose because the other team just happens to be better, not because of choking, not because of like,
well, but that's why I'm using choke in air quotes. It's
yeah,
like they're saying like choke, you know, they lost the series. Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
And
and
so it's
Austin
like,
wasn't good, but neither
so
was
like,
anyone else on the team.
so my thing is like, I don't know.
JJ got out coached. You know,
I'm
there was a lot of things going wrong in that series.
I'm not going to tell people how to fan. Like, you could fan however you want to fan. But to me, this seems like a miserable experience. Basically just waiting for Austin to hopefully choke again so that you can pop back into my chat and tell everybody that you were right. What happens if you were wrong? What happens if Austin plays well and the Lakers lose? Then what? Then you missed out on this entire season, and you
also
arrive
think
at the
that
end of it and you haven't enjoyed any of it.
some of this is also draft pick bias, where if Austin was a former first round pick having a year like this, no one would be talking about him the way that he is. Hell, if Austin like had, you know, like double or triple the vertical he has, like nobody would be talking about him like
If
this.
he
It's
looked
just
different,
because he isn't that athletic, so people are like, oh, like it's Fugazi.
he's this kind of, especially when he was drafted, he was this wispy white dude with like hair that flies all over the place, and that is not what, NBA players traditionally look like, and people aren't necessarily very comfortable with it. Now, it does lead to some fans overrating him. Like, I'm not saying that isn't but like, we can, I don't know. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but it just seems like a really miserable experience just to sit here and wait for this guy to choke again.
And if
Like,
Anthony is telling you that your negativity sounds like a really miserable experience, you might have to reevaluate some choices.
I'm telling you,
you know.
Absolutely. All right, let's go
the
ahead.
Most negative man in media.
Just called an entire trend of podcasts a bubble on the air. All right, we got some super comments here. So let's go ahead and play this one.
Oh, can't.
This is why I look like this, everybody. This is why I'm losing my mind.
Is that the new super comments?
No, but I wanted to play that one. I saw it there. It was funny.
Oh, good.
All right.
After witnessing the chat off to the side, I can't wait to see what the super comments are. I hope some of you paid for me and Anthony to have a race war on air. Let's see.
You can bet on Kalshi whether or not this podcast will lead to a race war. All right, first one here from Logan Miziak 5573. Thank you for the super chat. Rich Paul already trying to build excuses. That might be it. Like, it might be part of it, right? Is that like if the Lakers fall short, he just wants it known that he was, he told you guys ahead of time that this team wasn't good enough. So if LeBron loses in the playoffs again, or his career ends by, having his playoff run cut short, that you guys should have seen it coming. And it had
And
nothing
also,
to do with
what agent for a player on a non-tanking team doesn't think that their player's team needs to make moves to get better and set their player up for more success?
I mean, he made the case for Jalen Johnson to be moved to Milwaukee.
Like outside of a tanking team, like, because obviously then it's like, well, I don't want somebody taking away possessions from my guy. He's about to get like first team all rookie.
Right.
But like, outside of those situations, every agent wants the team that their clients are on to make moves to set that client up for more success. Look, I can argue that Jalen Johnson in Milwaukee, he gets to cook all by himself. He's the only reason for hope there. And so, like, does that end up being good for his individual earning potential? I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure. Is Trae Young also clutch?
No, he's octagon, I believe, unless he moved.
Yeah.
He was clutch at one point, I think, but
I thought at one point he was. I don't know if he still is, but
no, I don't. I believe he is not.
If I were a client of a different agency and I could get my client away from Trae Young, I would probably be okay with that. Ryan Lucas, LA writes, sounds like they're angling for a New York future. Also, I'm sure LA was thrilled with the sit down. If they were mad at AD for his comments, how are they now? Yikes. I
got some news for you. The Lakers are generally not like probably the happiest with Rich Paul. Like lately, it doesn't seem like based on their actions
since the Russell Westbrook thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think that like them being adversarial somewhat is like really breaking news to Rob Pelinka.
Yeah. I also think that they don't care. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little flippant about this, but I don't think the Lakers care very much about this. Things are going really well for the Lakers. They got sold. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Dodgers just signed the top reliever on the market right now. Like, things are going so well for the Lakers right now that Rich Paul recording this podcast on this weird SAG, stage that they built it on. Like, I don't think they cared. And
did they give their Golden Globes picks?
And I would actually think like the part of the Lakers would be like, damn right, you guys needed to use our name to get your podcast off of the ground.
It's unfortunate that there's no good like rhyme for Lakers like there is with like Knicks fans can do Knicks for clicks,
Yeah.
like that's pretty good. There's no like, I don't know, like engagers for Lakers.
Lakers for takers. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We might disagree, but I just don't think the Lakers care very much about this. Things are going. They're the second.
No, they
seed.
don't. They didn't even respond when LeBron sort of had and Rich had their like.
Yeah.
Again, like, not to be
sissy fit. Like it was just like
like it was a little bit of a temper tantrum this summer, and the Lakers like just didn't respond or do anything. They didn't care.
Yeah, and look, like by the way, also newsflash to you guys. I think the Lakers are aware they probably need to be, make another couple of moves if they want to catch the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have lost one basketball game so far this season. One. Like, I don't think Rich Paul hopping on a stage with Max Kellerman
Lakers are in the same cup round as them, Anthony. So I don't know. I like all I see is both of them making the postseason. The mid-season,
the only one that matters. The mid post-season.
Yeah, the mid postseason.
The pinch postseason. Yeah.
The
last one here: appetizers and sushi, which sounds amazing. I am very hungry. At the end of the day, AR has to prove his stock is going up in the playoffs. Buha is the first to say we underperformed, not because of AR. This year, AR has been a major reason why we win, not the major reason why we lose. Well, here's what I'll say. The Lakers have had a difficult time overcoming Austin playing poorly aside from the one game that LeBron played well so far this year.
Yeah.
Right. And so like the onus will eventually fall on Austin to perform in the playoffs. My only thing is, to me, knowing what I know about the work that he put in the offseason, and given that I have seen put on display the fruits of those efforts in terms of like his ability to literally bounce off of defenders or get defenders to bounce off of him on his own terms, like I think that the playoffs are going to go better this year. I might be wrong. I hope I'm not, but I'm not going to sit here and wait for a good story to end poorly just so that I can be right on the internet to people who I will never meet. That just sounds like a really, I don't know. Like I'm a Vikings fan. Like Lakers fans, we're so spoiled, right? Like for the vast majority of our lives, the Lakers missed the playoffs only like 4 or 5 times over the course of like a 30-year stretch. And we are so spoiled in that we can sit here and complain while we sit at the second seed. When the Vikings win like 3 games in a row, I am absolutely beside myself in happiness, because the Vikings usually suck. They almost always suck in terms of like the rings culture that we talk about, that I value in my basketball fandom. And so like when Sam Darnold was playing really well for the Vikings last year, I wasn't sitting here saying like, oh, just wait, this guy's going to suck. I thought he was eventually going to suck because he's Sam Darnold, but it wasn't like every single week I was saying like, oh, well, this wasn't even fun because Sam Darnold. No, it was like, all right, we'll just see how this plays out. And eventually it played out poorly because they're the Vikings. To me, I'm saying to you Lakers fans, just enjoy this for a little while. Austin isn't going anywhere. Unless it's Giannis coming back, Austin isn't getting traded. So like this motion and this desire to wait for this guy to choke, it just seems boring. It just seems like a really boring talking point to make.
Well, and it acts like, again, it acts like he was the only problem and the only flaw that the Timberwolves exploited. I'm not saying Austin played well in the playoffs last year, but the track record of Austin being a part of the reason why the Lakers win is a lot longer than the track record of Austin being part of why the Lakers lose. And that's why I like this comment, because that is true for his contract value largely. Like if he does get picked on in the playoffs this year, that is going to hurt the offers that he gets on the free agent market, because teams are going to see that and they're going to use that as an excuse to say, well, like, can this guy sort of be like our 1B or, 2A or 2B, whatever you want to call him? Or like, is this just sort of one of those things where he is an 82 game player, not a 16 game one? And we don't necessarily want to build around that because we're not sure what it can do. Like that is what is going to happen. And that's what's on the line for Austin this year.
Yeah. Harrison, this has been fun, as it tends to be. Anything that you want to plug before we get you out of here?
I just started a new job. I am the producer of podcasts with Rich Paul and Max Kellerman, producer and set designer. And so, hoping this one's going to go the whole way. Really excited about this project. I think there's a lot of people that want to know what that exact pairing has to say about things.
Did you catch Zach Lowe kind of throwing shade at Rich Paul on the Simmons pod?
On the Simmons pod, and then Simmons was like, "You mean our future ringer coworker, Rich Paul?" I'm sorry. Honestly, I know Lakers fans hate Bill Simmons. He is one of the funniest podcasters to ever exist. Like, it just.
Well, but like that was also
he's had feuds with Rich Paul and Doc Rivers, and then also launched podcasts with both of them.
The man gets content. Like, I think he has a lot wrong with his worldviews and shit, but that dude gets content. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge podcast. Tune in tomorrow for my guest, Rich Paul. And until then, have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's, and I'll talk to you when I talk to you.